Greetings, Goddess Body, Mind, Spirit community. This is your Goddess Guru, Tyra Omilade, your sister friend. And y'all know I love helping women align with their life purpose using ancient wisdom so that they confidently and courageously live the amazing lives they know they deserve. That's you, sisters. That is you. So happy to be here today to share just a bit of wisdom that have been showing on this week. Um, First and foremost, I hope that all is going well with you and your family. I hope that life is feeling good to you. I have just been emphasizing, I'm not quite sure in which videos I'm doing this, if it's in the inner circle or just some of my recent lives, that, you know, 2021 is proven to be, it has its own challenges. I'm watching it. And so my heart goes out to anyone who is feeling like, man, I thought I was going to get a break this year, And, there's just quite a bit of life for us to live this year. I'm just going to say it that way. It looks different for everybody, but we all are going through our own challenges. And so I know that it is part of a divine plan that is leading, guiding, and directing us to perhaps a new experience, to experience something new, to become someone new, to have a different experience. And sometimes, in order to get to where you want to go, you know, we have to experience the lessons of 2021. So today I want to talk to you about internal dogma, inner dogma. My the inner circle sisters, the ladies who are part of my inner circle, and we were talking on Monday about this book, Inner Peace, the Yoruba concept of Ifa. It is written by Awo Falakun Fatumbi, and just using it as a guide for us to have discussion around just growing ourselves, continuing this evolution that we're on, but especially when it comes to understanding the higher self. And so one of the things I'm going to do is talk about something that sort of came out as a major theme on Monday, but also I'm going to answer a question that one of the Inner Circle members asked. I just want to answer it here. That way everybody can benefit from what I'm going to share. It is about, is the Ori and the subconscious the same? So let's go back to this inner dogma. So oftentimes it's very easy to criticize people when we see they're caught up in dogma. Honestly, one of my core theories, I'll say it as a theory because I'm not going to say it's truth, but one of my theories about why sometimes people have problems adopting Ifa, for those who are interested in the spiritual tradition, they have problems adopting it because there's a lot of dogma. You hear people say it's as if folks left the church, which a lot of us know the church, which I don't dog people. If people are part of the Christian religion, go for it. I don't judge. And there's no religion that's free of drama. Trust me, there's no perfect religion because humans are part of this, right? But it's as if they come from one set of dogma. They come with this way of being, like you've got to do it this way, and if you don't do it this way, you're wrong. Sometimes this is really the issue that some of us are experiencing with this spiritual tradition, or any. I mean, it could be yoga, it could be Hinduism, Buddhism. I've seen it in all areas. It's dogma. And it's so easy when we see the political dogmas out here, and when it comes to different social, themes, people have their dogma. And dogma is something that is more of like a black and white. That's something I'm beginning to realize. Anytime I'm black and white, I need to stop. There are some things I'm black and white on. Like, I'm not here to be hurting folk, right? I just believe in hurting people. Black and white for me, no. It's some aspects of our life. If it's your stuff, I'm going to ask you. I'm not going to just take your stuff, right? So I think sometimes it's okay to be black and white, But for the most part, whenever we are experiencing black and white, it's either this or that, either this way or that way. There's no in between. More than likely, we are coming in contact with dogma. And oftentimes, when we're on the outside looking in, we can see people in their dogma. It is so easy to spot dogma, especially when you honestly are like, I seriously don't see why you're saying it this way. Like, why does it have to be this way? But what I think, and this is what I got from our discussion on Monday, is that people don't understand their own inner dogma when it comes to themselves, your own personal dogma. And oftentimes we hear people talking about this in terms of limiting beliefs about themselves. Like, what are the stories that we're telling ourselves? And how true is this story? You know? And so a lot of it, though, unfortunately, I believe we have adopted some of this dogma because we realize this is how I'll survive in life. If I begin to take on a persona, if I begin to take on a particular stance in life, as someone who's dependent on people, this is how I will be able to survive. And some of this we have released and we have let it go, but some of it we have not. We stand firm in our limitations. I remember last year when I heard someone say, please stop arguing for your limitations. And so our destiny calls us, and our inner dogma will have us to think, well, either I have to be able to do it all in this particular way, or I can't get started yet. Right? Or, whatever these thoughts that we have about ourselves. It's what I call inner dogma. I'm just going to read a little bit just so y'all can kind of get a taste of what we talked about. So one of the things that he talked about is EB. And so when we're talking EB is more of, we're operating from a place of probably more the ego is the way to describe it. There may be some blockages, and it's often so easy. Y'all, I'm giving maybe for some a little tough love, but y'all know I love y'all, right? And anything that I'm saying to you, I live this. Okay. This is my work in my life. Okay. I have not transcended any of this. Something I had said I was going to tell y'all is, when we see all these spiritual types, me included, I mean, this is what I do. I share spirituality. I love talking spirituality and, helping people better understand for their own selves. And so spiritual types, we talk a good game, but just like everybody else, we have to put our pants on one leg at a time. We can never stop doing this work, right? So anything that I'm talking about, I'm working on my own stuff. So, EB oftentimes stems from the ego. And it's so easy. A lot of times, people perhaps feel like it's something from the outside. And I'm not saying that there isn't other factors, but I'm just saying the ones that we can take control of, the ones that we absolutely can identify with, the EB, the lack and the limitation that we have imposed on our own selves for whatever reason, because it's no judgment, then it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. So I say oftentimes, so many times I am blaming so much out here, out there. Well, this is happening. This is why I can't do what I want to do or whatever. And so here lately, I've just been saying, well, what can I do? What's the next step that I can take? What's the next most empowering belief about myself that I can hold, that I can replace with one that's disempowering? It's just one little step by step by step, right? So, but one of the things that he talked about is, let's see here. how we do, to a certain degree, buy into our EB. And so it's so important for us to take steps to release EB. Um, I love it right here is he says staying stuck in EB, which is staying stuck in, self-imposed lack and limitation. I'm not talking about what the world, because there is other stuff that we're dealing with. Okay. I hear people say, and I actually believe this for myself. I want to believe this for myself. I'm 100% responsible for my life, but that doesn't mean that there's not something that I'm facing. There are, Goliaths that we do face. However, the 100% for me is I get to choose how I'm going to respond. Even if I'm responding like I'm falling for it, I would prefer to do that than to just be like, well, it's just the Goliaths, fault that I can't do this. And so it's more of what we do have control over is what I'm talking about. Okay. Because if I could change a lot of stuff out in the world, I would. If I could just, here's my wand. I do actually have a wand that one of the sisters gave me. If I could just wave this wand and give you everything you wanted and everything all these children in the world wanted, oh my gosh, I would. Okay. So when we choose to stay stuck in our EB, it says that literally deifies the problem. Instead of worshiping source, we worship whatever it takes to stay stuck. As an issue of survival, we devote all our conscious effort to creating a world that supports our distorted vision of reality by surrounding ourselves with peers who share our limited worldview. And it's one of the reasons why I said, you know what? I have to hang out with people who think differently from me. I don't need people to 100% agree with everything that I say, because there are times when I am deifying my problem and someone is like, girl, you got choices right now. You got choices. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't have any choices right now. Oh my gosh, it's like so hard. You got choices, sis. You got choices. So, and I appreciate that. I really do. So I want to just get on today and say to you, what is your inner dogma regarding you? Okay. One of the things that I would say to think about is, where are you judging yourself extremely harshly? This is a place for you to say, you know what? That's some inner dogma. I am hell bound and determined that I just am no good at this, or, I'm a failure because I didn't do that. See, again, that black and white thinking. And I am so guilty of it. I went to Spelman College, it's so well known for all of these successful Black women. When you look in the alumni magazine, I even see friends in there. They have done this corporate thing or this organization or whatever, or if they have a huge wedding, they send their pictures in. And here I've been a homeschool mom. I won't even go back to Spelman because I'm like, I'm not living that. I mean, in the homeschool community, I'm probably like Spelman, level, Spelman standard. But when I look at what they've done, it's like, oh man, I really haven't achieved. BS. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's like black and white. I haven't achieved, so I'm not going to go back to any reunion. My friends have begged me to come back, but I'm like, I ain't going back for them to be talking about, well, you just a stay-at-home mom. And y'all, it's all made up. It's a whole bunch of us probably that are stay-at-home moms. Or one sister said, yeah, I did not choose the highest level of career. I chose the one that was most convenient to me, being a mom. No one cares. Really and truly, no one cares. But I have this inner dogma, right? I have this inner dogma that I've been working on identifying so that I can have different choices. Not to say I'm not going to lie to you. I really don't care about going to any Spelman reunion. Maybe I'll go one day, but the friends I know, I'm good with. I text them and all that kind of good stuff. So yes, sisters, I think it's important for us to identify the inner dogma, the black and white, I'm a failure because of, or whatever these stories are that we tell ourselves. And honestly, some of it is, and I know this personally, we tell ourselves these stories because it's like, this is the level where I am. I don't really know how to get away from this level. So I need something that makes me feel comfortable. And so I've had to put some stories in place about why I'm where I am and why I'm not moving forward. When more than likely it could just be like, I'm where I am. I'm doing the best I can given what I have. And when I am able to move in a new direction or in a direction that works better for me, then that's what I'm going to do. Maybe it's, you need some help, but you keep telling yourself, like, I'm not worthy of help. I'm not worthy of anybody helping me. And so, now we're overwhelmed. We don't have anyone to help us. Who knows? It's an infinite number of stories that we could potentially have deified within us as our inner dogma. But yeah, I like working like this versus me identifying people out in the world who I have no control over. My thing is, let me identify my inner dogma about myself. Because guess what, baby? I can liberate myself. Guess what? You can liberate you. Okay? You can liberate you from your own inner dogma. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today, that the importance of that. Now, let me just read something that sounds a little more. I want to end on a nice little note. And that is, where is it? Let me read this. One of the tools used to break the bonds of EB is humility. Humility is the ability to consider another point of view and make no assumptions that the point of view until it can be tested through direct experience. In other words, test advice before rejecting it. And so I just say to you, apply this to yourself. Be humble enough to hear people say, you know what, you're great, you're wonderful, you're amazing, you're awesome. And then continue to test these aspects of yourself. See, I'm here to say that you are wonderful. You are glorious. The world is better because you are here. Your gifts, your talents matter. And it doesn't matter what they are. It doesn't matter if you're getting paid to express them in the world or not. They matter. You matter. No matter what you have experienced, no matter what has happened to you in your life. Be open to hearing that you're wonderful, you're glorious, and loosen the inner dogma about yourself. Because what begins to happen is when that inner dogma gets a crack in it, then your light shines through the cracks. Your light shines through the cracks, and it feels like a weight gets lifted off. See, it's not all the time about achieving stuff, though. Yes, y'all, I'm not going to lie. I'm okay with having stuff. I'm okay with having money. Okay. I'm okay with having good cash flows. I don't subscribe to poverty. Spirituality is abundance and richness. Look at nature. Nature is abundance. It is flow. It is richness. And so it is totally okay that if some of this inner crack happens, this inner dogma that gets set in you, if all you're doing is releasing what you set up, because I know some of us been hurt and wounded, and it takes a little while to break through that, right? But whatever you can release within yourself, that light starts coming through, and ways become made out of no ways, right? At the very least, a higher level of peace. We can feel it within ourselves. And I think that most people seek peace. Most people seek to feel that inner calm. And you deserve that. You deserve that. And it starts by doing our own inner work. And I'm going to end with this before I move on to the next topic. There is nothing like the last 4 to 5 years of living in the United States that has taught me the only person I have control over is me. The best thing I can do in this world is live my destiny and live me out full out. Even if it means I've got to move beyond these limits that I've put around myself. And I always say when I'm doing something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something new. Because when you do something new, you know how it feels, sisters. It's uncomfortable. And I'll tell people I have, sweaty armpits and sweat dripping off my forehead, and I'm like shaking. Um, I'm willing to do all of that because this is all I have. Me, this is all I have. Honestly, it's just my experience here in this life. It's what you have. And this is where our true power lies. Our true power lies in living our destiny and making the necessary changes in ourselves so that we can carry our destiny out. And some of us are going to do it loud, and some of us are going to do it quietly loud. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah. Shake that inner dogma. Loosen it up. I didn't say get rid of it like in one fell swoop. Just loosen it. And so I would love to hear from you. What is your inner dogma? One thing that you are like set on about yourself. And you're like, you know what? This is actually me holding myself back. And I am going to loosen this. It just may be, I really need to start driving a car, or I really need to get up and go take a walk. I keep telling myself, I don't like to exercise. Okay, well, maybe I don't want to go to the gym and exercise. I'll just go take a walk. It doesn't have to be great and glorious. It doesn't have to even involve money, nothing. But that one thing about you that I really am black and white about this about myself, and I beat myself up about this, and it's like it's got a stronghold on me. How can you just loosen it up a bit? And just maybe one way you could do this is just say, well, let me see, can I prove, is this true? That's how I started doing it. I would just say, okay, well, I know I think this about myself, but let me see, is it really true? And I'll be vulnerable with you all. It's hard for me to say this, but it's my truth. One of the things that I have struggled with is just thinking that I'm like wretched. And I know a lot of this comes from when you raise up in the church. This is what they teach you. You're just a horrible sinner. You're so horrible that, somebody had to die on the cross for you. And it's like, dang, somebody gave up their life because I'm this horrible. And this was like thousands of years ago. And of course, I have moved past that particular spiritual tradition. I'm not a part of it. Okay, my husband's a pastor, so sort of I'm adjacent to it because of that. But I'm just I'm supportive of him. That's not my religion. And so I don't have a religion actually. And so yeah, it's like, okay, no, but it's sad in me. Or maybe the world, another thing I've thought is, well, when you live in a world that just really puts out bad images of you, like you get really bad messaging about yourself. One of the conclusions I drew is I'm just wretched. Like I am just like a horrible person. And I'm sure some of it came from my childhood. Just like I had no way to explain the traumas that I saw in my house. And so I just drew this conclusion. It was the only way I could cope, right? And so when I first started out, I was like, I really need to question this thought. Am I really wretched? And so then I just started listening to what are people saying about me? And I have friends say, oh, I just love you. I'm like, is somebody who's wretched lovable? Maybe I'm not wretched. Or, maybe some little kid, it's like, oh, like I used to know a little kid who really loved me. They never called me Miss Tyra. Well, not never. a lot of the ones, and typically they were at like 3, 4, 5, 6. By the time they were about 7, they all started calling me Miss Tyra. But when the little ones, like 4 years old, they would just call me Tyra. And in the South USA, that is like not okay. You're supposed to say Miss or Mr. fill in the blank. And the parents would say, "Oh, that's Miss Tyra." And I would say, nah, it's okay. Just let them call me Tyra. I already knew that kid loved me. I'm like, would this little pure being love someone who's wretched? And having my own children, like my kids, they love me. My kids love me, always have. No matter how many times, they might be mad at me or, they're giving me a hard time. I never question, do my kids love me? Like, what if I was really wretched, would my kids love me? It's like, question it and look for proof. And let me tell you something, you will always find something to disprove inner dogma. Now, have I had people during my testing do things that it seemed like, okay, they treat me like this because I'm wretched? Yeah, these kinds of things come up too. But it's like, is it that they're doing this because I'm wretched, or is it because they are, they're not cool people? Their behavior was like so uncool. Like it was on them. It wasn't on me. It wasn't on me. It's like I could just really start cracking this dogma to the point where you just get to a point where it's like, why did I even think that? I'm not wretched. And then the next thing you know, you just feel free. I just feel light. Sometimes I look at myself in the mirror now and I'm like, oh, I just love me. I know I'm 50 something, but I'm like, oh, I'm so precious. I'll say something like that about myself. And it's just like, I don't want to believe I'm wretched. So I just won't. This is how we begin to break down inner dogma. It's a process. Sometimes we have a boulder come through, boom. And one of the reasons we want to do this is because as we begin to move in the direction of our destinies and success and achieving our goals, whatever they may be, then breaking down the dogma means that they stick and stay, right? It sucks to be ascending because we have these eclipses coming, y'all, and we are ascending. Part of the eclipse is like, let this go. So perhaps it's dogma. You know what, y'all? I'm just not even making a connection because the part of the eclipse that's about releasing and letting go, that's Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about belief system. If anybody got some dogma, trust me. And I know some Sagittarius are going to push back on me, but this is what astrology teaches. Sag is expansion. But when it's in EB, when it's manifesting in the negative, it's religious fanaticism. Okay. It is dogma. And so what is the Sagittarius eclipse asking us to do? Release your inner dogma about you. Now, maybe there's some dogma that you got from something and you need to let it go. Some group you're a part of and you need to let that go. It's still yours though. It's still yours. And then the other part of the eclipse is like, hey, we need to go into some new territory, pick up some new skills, do some new stuff over here. And what the eclipse does is sometimes it ascends you before you feel like you're ready. But if you're cracking the inner dogma, then it just makes you like, okay, it's a bumpy ride. Didn't expect all of this, but let's go, right? And it will stick and stay. Because what happens is you see a lot of people, they ascend and they crash and burn. It was like something on the inside of them was not ready for the success. But if we stay on our spiritual game and we continue to crack, take away the deification of the inner dogma, stop deifying the negative things that are not even true about you, that you say about you. If we take all of that away, even if we're still working to, open up to a new way of thinking and believing about ourselves and really owning it and embodying it, we will stick and stay. We won't crash and burn. We'll be able to just, how sometimes when someone's like trying to catch up and they're just barely doing it, but they're doing it some kind of way. They're keeping up. They don't exactly know how, but It'll be like that. So there we go. There we go. Release your inner dogma, sister. Release your inner dogma. Now, to the question of, is the Ori and the subconscious the same? So I am studying NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and this is all about helping people to reprogram their subconscious. And so what I'm learning is, first and foremost, let me just say this. When we're talking the Ori, which another name that most people know is the higher self, then we're talking about actually a complex. I used to think there was the Ori, and then I began to learn, especially from this book, actually. And let me see if I can pull that up, because I know somebody is going to ask me for the name of the book. Where is it? Here we go. And if anybody, and it's typically, okay, if anybody sees this book and they don't like this author, it's okay. Don't tell me. I don't need to know. But this book helped me, because it helped me to understand there are different parts of the Ori. Okay. And so that's first and foremost something to know and understand. There is not just the Ori. Ori is consciousness. See, that's our true identity. Our true identity is consciousness. It is awareness of being consciousness and then channeling it. That's really what we're here to do. Honestly, y'all, that's it. It's real simple. It's not complex in the sense of understanding what to do. Now, actually doing it, it can feel complex. It can be complex. But honestly, it's about being aware that you are consciousness and then channeling the consciousness. And so it's a complex, and I don't want to talk about it here just because, it would make this video way too long, but there's parts of the Ori, and it's about getting the Ori in balance and all lined up so that you know that you're now operating in flow. Okay. And so is the Ori the same as the subconscious? Well, when we're thinking about the subconscious, the superconscious, then there's this part called the critical faculty. And then there's a conscious mind. The critical faculty is honestly the gatekeeper of what is allowed to get to the subconscious. The subconscious is driving everything, but the subconscious is programmable, which is why in my mind, it's not one-to-one. It's one and the same. It's all a part of the same. Like there's the Ori parts, and then we think about the conscious mind, the superconscious, the subconscious, the critical faculty. We use these modern day terms. And so, once we start looking at them, it's like, oh, they really operating, all the parts of both are operating the same. And so it's not one-to-one correlation. I would never say the Ori is the exact same thing as the subconscious. But what I will say is that once you understand all these different parts and you start working with them, then the result is the same. Okay, the result is the same. But the subconscious mind is programmable. It wants to be told what to do. It is a perfect memory. And so it remembers everything. It remembers everything that has ever happened to us. It has all of our programming, to include what? Our own inner dogma about ourselves. And so it is the subconscious that we want to make sure, first and foremost, we got to go in there and we got to clean some stuff out. It is back to the first part of the conversation that we had. And then we want to put in the subconscious. The subconscious wants you to tell it what you want it to do. And you do that through repetition. The issue is is your conscious mind going to allow it? Okay. And so when we think about the Ori, let's look at this part. When we think about the Ori, when I first started hearing about how do you work with the Ori, well, one of the things it says is the Ori must be propitiated every day. What does that mean? Well, according to what I learned, and I don't know if it was in this book or the Yoruba Religious Concepts book, it's probably Yoruba Religious Concepts book by Baba Ifa Kerade. We go about our day, we hear all kinds of stuff happening, whether we are aware of it or not. We're picking stuff up, or we're consciously putting stuff into our minds, into our energetic fields. And so the Ori, which is consciousness, is aware of everything, just like the subconscious. We have to make sure we're clearing this thing out, because ultimately what we're wanting to do is to hear from the another part of the Ori so that we can be guided. And one of the things that I am exploring in my own life is living according to inspiration. What is inspiration? Is me hearing from spirit and understanding what to do. Well, what is spirit? What's a part of this Ori complex? And so, I, in my mind, see it as there is this part of ourselves that is undifferentiated. It is on the outside. Okay, y'all, this came straight from the Metunetter, but this is my concept. This is how I view it. It's not, there's only a small part of my consciousness that's in this body. And then the rest of it is on the outside. And it's leading, guiding, and directing me. How does it do it? Well, through my Ori. But the question is my part of the Ori that I am most in control of, is it lined up so that I can actually hear from that part of myself? And so my job is to begin to be cautious of what I put in, to make sure that, or to understand, it's stuff all in the ethers, all kinds of stuff that I could be picking up, because like I said, the subconscious mind, it's picking up way more than we realize. So our critical faculty, our conscious mind, it only lets in a sliver of what we're actually perceiving. It's only letting in that which we have informed it that we are open to. And so when you're open to a new experience, then the reality, our consciousness, it begins to look for, how do we make sure that she wants this experience? So we need to bring this into her experience, and it just begins to inform it, right? And so we have to understand that we're picking stuff up all the time. And so every day, how do we clear our energy field? But also, what are our repetitive thoughts? Because these repetitive thoughts, like I said, the subconscious works with repetition. What are these repetitive thoughts? It's a message. It's like a vibrational tuning fork, sending the message out. This is what I want. And so my thing is this: let me describe what it is that my true desires. And now I need to be open to inspiration. I need to be open and clear so I can hear the next step to take. But there is this continual work that we do, because we get so programmed in so many different ways. And so that's why I said, doesn't matter how spiritual I get, I will always, just like everybody else in this world, put my pants on, just like everybody else, one leg at a time. And so I have to, just like everybody else, we all get to choose how we're going to be clearing this energy, how we're going to be keeping ourselves clear so that we can hear from our inner guidance. Because my way of seeing it is that or this part of myself that is not in the body, it's on the outside guiding it. It actually knows my itinerary. It actually knows what I really want, no matter how much I've gotten sidetracked and taken, paths off of the road that I had said, okay, this is what I want. So when I insert myself into this body, I'm gonna need for you to, keep me on task with this itinerary. And so no matter how much I get off, I want to be listening so that that part of myself can tell me what to do. And I perceive that it's through inspiration. What is the next step that I'm going to take? I just want spirit to show me. And it seems so, airy fairy, but I've tried controlling my whole life. And yeah, train wreck. I've gotten some stuff done. It's not been all the train wreck, but yeah, I prefer being more just guided by my own guide and it's showing me what to do. And so this concept of Ori, which is consciousness, which is subconscious, but there's different levels to it. So yes, they are the same, but they're not one-to-one, correlations is not what I would say. Because the word Ori actually is very limiting. It's one part of the complex as we understand it from the Ifa tradition. And so y'all know me, I will just mix and match some stuff. Okay, everybody. I hope that this has been helpful. I guess I could have put this down here just in case. I have had a reading special this week. goddessbodymindspirit.com. It's mini readings, $75, 30 minutes. It's recorded. It's not us meeting live, but it is recorded. I help you understand, in general, what is the energy surrounding you right now? What do these eclipses mean for you? What is Jupiter going or being in Pisces mean for you? And anything else that I see in your chart. There's some stuff going on in your chart that ain't going on in anybody else's chart. So if I see something, I'll let you know that too. But anywho, thank y'all so much for watching. If you would like a reading, it doesn't even have to be a mini reading. Maybe you just want the full 90-minute reading where you and I meet together live via, Zoom. Or maybe you want to join the inner circle where I share like this on a regular basis. We have a meeting every Monday evening. We get together live and kick the week off together, talking spirituality. And I just find that kind of conversation at the start of the week, it gives me something to chew on all week long. And for me, it is all about how can I have something that guides me? So when we think about bowling and the bumpers that come up for little kids to keep the ball from going into the gutter, that's how I see spirituality. That's how I see wisdom. Even a little bit is a bumper that comes up and I just won't deviate so much. Maybe I bump up against the bumper. It may not feel good, but I don't just go into the gutter and just, get no points, nothing done, right? That's how I lived for so long. I lived for so long just feeling like I'm just going in one big circle. And wisdom is how I've been applying wisdom in a practical way is how I've been able to get myself out of this rut. And so that's one of the things that I do within the inner circle. It's let me share some wisdom that can help sisters and brothers. Y'all know I'm for the brothers, but y'all know I had to sort of niche down and just say, you know what, this is what I'm good at. I'm really good at helping the sisters. Y'all like me, but I'll help anybody. And men, if you want a reading, you can get a reading too. But yeah, it's so important for us to understand that, hey, if we have the wisdom, and a lot of sisters are like, well, where do I get it from? And I said, you know what? You don't need to be surfing the internet and doing all that for all those hours. And then, of course, you're trying to figure out, how do I piecemeal it together? I put together something every month, send it out. I also make a weekly video, send it out and say, hey, y'all, this is what's happening for this week. And those become our bumpers so that we don't deviate too much from the right to the left. So I would love to have you be a part of the inner circle. And yeah, it's a community. It honestly is a community. So thank y'all so much. I appreciate you. And hey, I'll see you somewhere around the Goddess Body Mind Spirit community here on whatever platform you're watching me on. All right, take care. Peace and love.